These two made their debut on the team. In fact, it was the first show for these two together 2 weeks ago in Centaur. French team coming home in 8th place, though. They didn't have the easiest day, although these two did jump a clear in the second round. Big moment. Oh, time. The time allowed has actually, I've only just been told this as it's happened, been reduced from 80 seconds. So, unfortunately, that does involve, therefore, some time penalties because it's now down at 76 seconds. It was done after the third horse, but that was literally coming to me as that ride crossed the line. Either way, it does mean, though, that we're still not there for, well, it wasn't quite there for France, was it? Because of the time, unfortunately. It's just cost them a little bit in terms of faults. They pick up 2 with Alice Timpson. Now it is Great Britain, Tabby Morgan-Evans, and the impressively named Zilvan's Swizzle Time, BDA, I should say. Tabby, who was part of the children's gold medal winning team 2 years ago in the Netherlands. Had some amazing individual finishers as well over the last 2 seasons, where she finished 5th last year. She was top 10 as well in 2024. This, though, is quite a new ride in terms of international competition for her this year. She's been to Spain, jumping to get ready to come here. A little bit of a younger gelding again, 9 years of age, by Zilvan Icon BDA. But happy with that experience now, even at this young age. Oh, again, the time is going to become a real factor here, isn't it? Look at that. Great round from Tabby. Really superb round, especially, as I say, the newness of that partnership at this level. But she does cross the line on a single penalty. A single penalty is the final score. And I can understand why they moved the time down from 80 seconds. The fact that 2 of them now have ended up picking up time penalties. But the first 3 went round. I mean, the first 2 went round in about 71 seconds, and then we had one go round in 72 seconds as well. So you can see why they made the change. But unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out that way for France or Great Britain. They both ended up with time penalties. Whether that affects them, we'll find out later. Now, another on a debut, part of the Spanish lineup here today. Team debut for Jaime Suarez Vina with Tapas de Dreshagen. So the 7-year-old mare, youngest in the class. Certainly one that Spain will be looking at for the future and placing a lot of trust in a 7-year-old with this young jockey on a debut going so early. But it's about building for the future, not just for the day. Keeping it to the 4, getting a little bit quicker. Wants to be a bit careful coming to the plank. And that was always going to be part of the tricky part of that course. Just looking here, his legs have barely come down below the saddle. Over the final fence, it is inside on the time, whether that was bearing in the mind of Hami Sarazina, but it is a total of 12 for the first up for Spain. Still, 2 nations we have not yet seen. One of those is the nation that won last time out in Centaur. In the fact, this rider was part of that team last time out. He's already been on the pony team just a little while ago as well. Pony team, of course, finishing 3rd equal today, 4th last time round. On the silver medal winning team as well, the Dutch last year at the Children's European Championships. Wim Vos. Now, he rode, was it Zachary on the team in Belgium 2 weeks ago. Today he's got this mare, Pretty Piquet Deluxe. So interestingly as well, this owned by Jana Fredrika Meyer-Zinderman. Super rider for Germany, but unfortunately he's found his way to stopping at the double. Not the start the Dutch would have needed. Time penalties are an absolute sort of certainty now. I said double, I meant combination. Full marks to him though. He's kept up quite a rhythm and pace. He's done everything he can to try and ride his way down to a minimum number of time penalties. He got the 4 for the stop. If he can keep it to 4 or 5, I think that was quite brilliant in terms of the recovery there for that young jockey. Wim Vos recovers at least to end on a total of 9. Could have been very different, but he had the confidence and experience to push on after the earlier problem. One more to go in the opening rotation. And Sophia Aurelia-Georges for Monaco is the first of the Monegasque riders. She's ridden at the past 2 Children's Europeans, both in the Netherlands and in Germany. This, though, is an 8-year-old that's new in terms of joining the team. It's the team debut for Secret Love Vershagen. By Lecter van der Bishop out of a Konrad Oblensky mare. There's some excellent modern jumping blood here in this partnership for Monaco. Ridden the whole round with absolute precision until the last, and then that all undoes to a score of 4. Sadly, it is then 1 down, but it is that 8-year-old that looks hugely impressive going forward. We've now actually seen 1 combination go from each of the teams. Only 1 team have delivered a 0 score, and that is the Swiss with Daytona. Sasha Descanaliens is the only clear. Of course, though, we did see that 1 penalty score from Great Britain and that 2 penalty score from France. So very tight. And a lot of jumping to come. This is only one round, or round one. We will then take the top 8. So one team, whoever ends at the bottom of this round, will drop away and not go through. So team debut, though, for these two, as Senerolin now with Dior van der Lukashove. Next to go for the Swiss, this partnership that won the Grand Prix in October in Chavigny, with this stallion by Atlantique. Out of a Chin mare. Certainly a horse with plenty of strength and mileage. But even when I say that, it's interesting that sort of solid red board. I've seen it happen many times in the past. A little bit of a solid bottoming into a fence, and they come round the corner. Of course, the sun's shining on it as well, and it's that just that little bit sort of different for the horse to look at. If you consider so many of the other fences have sort of got those sort of gap, well, whether they're gappy poles or their fillers are very thin planks, but they're all quite open in the bottom. But when you come round to that combination, you've got quite a solid filler board right in the bottom of it, and I think it's enough that it is just making the horses look, and look they do every once in a while. And looking there to sadly bring an elimination on debut for Senerolin as they run out of steam coming round to the water. So that is not going to make life easy for the Swiss, but they do have the clear round from their first rider, and that will work to their advantage, because for the minute they could yet still finish on 0. That elimination, though, means that whatever the scores that come in from their next 2 riders, they're certainly going to count. Germany started with an 8 with their opening combination, continuing with their debutantes, because Germany, who have 3 out of their 4 team riders today, all making their debut. And this is very much another with Bella Ilona Marie Resnick riding Big Centaire, the mare by Big Star. Of course, Big Star, the Olympic champion of 2016. And this is an 8-year-old mare. Oh dear, that's unfortunate. Everything else had gone absolutely to plan until you could just see how just suddenly Bella Luna there, she just couldn't, and that's elimination. For some reason, just can't quite get Big Centaire to lock into the double, and running off the front twice, it sadly brings elimination. So Germany in a similar position now to the Swiss, that they, well, they're going to have to first of all count the 8 penalties from their first combination, and now know that whatever the faults that fall for the next 2 will also count. Well, the Irish started with an 8. Now it's the turn of another debutant for the Irish team, Willow Gavin. Willow actually made her international debut just 2 weeks ago in Centaur, but with it easy to hop. De Croussel put in a fine performance in the Grand Prix, because she actually left the fences up. It was just a couple of time penalties that day, but it certainly showed the promise of this stallion and this partnership for Ireland. So goes the water tray. New fence we hadn't seen fall. This by Type Top de Montiel. And of an Allegretto mare. It's very much a straightforward French sort of ride, South Francais ride. So Ireland, having started with an 8 now, will have to count the 4. Oh dear, that's not the first we've seen do that. As I said, there are so many debutantes in the lineups here today. You've got to give them these opportunities, and Compiègne always been a great place to come. Fabulous facilities here, of course, this amazing forest and this beautiful part of France. We're north of Paris. That is not what they needed, just not able to keep that control, unfortunately. So bad luck to Willow Gavin and to Easy Top de Courcelles. Well, we reset, we look again. It's the turn of Belgium next up. And of course, Belgium, we started with a score of 4 with Margot de Bush. Now it's their next combination, who was also on that Nations Cup team just 2 weeks ago. Although Louise de Klerk changing rides this week. She rode Ego a couple of weeks back, jump 4 and clear, and then of course into the jump off as well. This is the partner that took her. This mare jumped into second place in the Big Tour final in Centaur, though, so they were there jumping. But great for Louise to have 2 top rides. Belgium started with Margot de Bush on that 4, so clear around here, of course, would push Belgium level with the Swiss in terms of still being able to achieve a 0. But we've still got 1 fence left to go as they come down to the orange and the lemon. I think that's what it is, that last fence. Nicely done, Louise. Great round for Belgium. Clear round, only the second 0 score, and it goes to Hendrik Dunit's team. Well, the French started strong, though. We might have only had a limited number of 0 scores, but let's not forget France scored 2, Great Britain scored 1. Time penalties, though, can come back and bite you a little later on, despite the advantage they can still give you early. Now, this partnership making their debut here is Manon Royer riding Gittin Plachette. This mare by Jenny de la Sense out of a My Lord Carthago mare. Some very nice breeding here. Combination did jump at Centaur as well, actually. They were 6th. They finished 6th in the Grand Prix, and in the in-between class they were 2nd. Don't forget that in-between class that runs for the riders that are not part of the team, that takes place in between the first round and the second round over this course. But we're off to what looks to be quite a positive round here. Positive start for second of the French riders. Oh, great news for France here at home. It's going very well. That is a brilliant round, and it means not only does France keep the ability of going 4th on a 0, it means they keep that 2 penalty score as a discard, which which is just what they'll have wanted, keeping such a tiny discard. And can Great Britain follow suit? We will find out. Just having a little bit of forage, or foliage is actually the word. Stood back up over there. Great Britain then started with Tabby Morgan-Evans going round for a single time penalty. Of course, Tabby bringing that level of experience now, a debutant to the team, and one of two Breens in the team. Two cousins, of course. This is Mia Breen on her debut. This is crack 41, the Holstein gelding by Christian. Mia, who is the daughter of Trevor and Caroline. This owned by Mandy Hall. Actually, it's a horse that Jodie Hall-McAteers had quite a few different riders over time, but Jodie rode this for a little while. These two have spent a couple of weeks recently down in Spain, getting ready to come here, getting their international experience. But always a big moment when you get the opportunity to make your debut for your home nation, and we're seeing it up and down the line today. Oof, big jump. A little bit deep, but didn't cause themselves any trouble, giving herself the space, coming around, getting nice and straight to the plank. Big jump. Time. Keeps it to 2. That is a great way to start. The British team should be pretty pleased with the way that things have begun, but they do have to count the single time penalty. So for the moment, though, they're keeping it below, keeping the score pretty low. I think to start as a debut, what an outstanding performance there from Mia and crack 41. So they finish on a score of 2. On we go to Spain. The Spanish team started with a total of 12. Lucas Hernandez-Gonzalez, who has ridden actually in a couple of Nations Cup teams last year, including here in Compiègne. This is to Action de Bilzalen, the stallion by Action Breaker. I think we're expecting to see quite a bit of scope in these two's abilities to certainly be tested today. Ooh, another one that doesn't want to jump the water. Just taking a circle and then looking to come again. Nope. To Action de Bilzalen as said no to the water for the second time, so it is elimination, sadly, for Lucas, and that, of course, will mean that the Spanish team have got to count that 12 penalty score that was picked up from their opening rider. So for the time being, at least, it pushes them on to a total of 12 and 2 riders still to go. In a moment, we got 2 more to go before we take a little break in proceedings. And this is Liz Muller for the Netherlands. The Dutch, who started off with Wim Vos on a score of 9, will hope they can somehow keep that away from the scorecard, but it is a debut for Liz with Kiss Me Society, the Dutch mare. Lovely Dutch ride here. This Dutch Warblood is by Dexter R out of a Cantos mare. So try to avoid that 9 penalty discard. for which counts as they come back across the arena. You certainly get the feeling that today is going to be really hard to judge as it goes on in terms of who may end up winning this one, because I think you've got so many riders making their debut. They're all full of ability with good horses, but it doesn't mean it'll work out. But then they can come back in the second round and deliver clears, despite having had difficult first rounds. But I also think you'll get the reverse of that. And I think it's going to make for quite a helter-skelter in terms of the leaderboard until we get to the very last round of riders. And another runs off the front of fence 11, and that is mighty costly for the Dutch. Of course, the team that won last time round not having a good day at all, and that is elimination. So Lismol on debut is out, and that brings that total of 9 into play for the Dutch. Sadly, bad luck to the two of them. Now, Monaco. This will take us up to the halfway mark in the first round. The second rotation's final rider is Ileana Palmaro, who rode on the European team in the children's category last summer. Ghibli Levilliant, the gelding by Clinton. Out of a Cassini mare. Certainly a 10-year-old that has got the potential and the class. Monaco's first rider went round for a score of 4. Well, this is looking very promising. I hope I'm not speaking too soon, because this is Isa's fence going down. I did speak too soon. What a shame. Does get inside at the time. Monaco then move on to a team score of 4 as we reach the halfway mark in the first round of jumping. And that means that as it stands, Switzerland, Belgium and France are the 3 teams that could yet still get to the end of the opening round on a 0 score. Perhaps France with the advantage there, though, as they have only a 2 penalty discard. Great Britain could yet finish on a score of 1. But we've only got a 2 penalty discard as well. I mean, they're sitting on their own in 4th. Going to be slightly out of sync with the others because of that time penalty. Monaco on a score of 4 and Germany on 8, as are Ireland, Dutch on a score of 9 and Spain on 12. There is a little technical break, as it says there, for a bit of arena maintenance. We'll be back in about 5-6 minutes time with the second half of the opening round here for the Children's Nations Cup in Compiègne.
once, this is the moment you've waited for. You've been searching in the dark, your sweat soaking through the floor. And buried in your bones, there's an ache that you can't ignore. Taking your breath, stealing your mind, and all that was real is left behind. Don't fight it, it's coming for you, running at you. It's only this moment, don't care what comes after. Your fever dream, can't you see getting closer? Just surrender, cause you feel the feeling taking over. It's fire, it's freedom, it's flooding open. It's a picture in the pulpit and your blind devotion. There's something breaking at the brick of every wall. It's holding all that you know. So tell me, do you want to go where it's covered in all the colored lights, where the runaways are running the night? Impossible comes true, it's taking over you. We light it up, we won't come down, and the sun can't stop us now. Watching it come true, it's taking over you. Colossal, we come, these renegades in the ring, where the lost get found and we crown of the circus king. Don't fight it, it's coming for you, running at you. It's only this moment, don't care what comes after. He's blinding, outshining anything that you know. Just surrender, cause you're coming and you wanna go where it's covered in all the colored lights, where the runaways are running the night. Impossible goes through, intoxicating you. We light it up, we won't come down, and the sun can't stop us now. Watching it come true, it's taking over you. It's everything you ever want, it's everything you ever need, and it's here right in front of you. This is where you wanna be, ever need, and it's here right in front of you. This is where you wanna be. This is where you wanna be. Where it's covered in all the colored lights, where the runaways are running the night. Impossible comes true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. We won't come down, and the sun can't stop us now. Watching it come true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. It's coming in all the colored lights, where the runaways are running the night. Impossible comes true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. We light it up, we won't come down, and the walls can't stop us now. Watching it come true, it's taking over you. What is right in front of you, and you see the impossible is coming true, and the walls can't stop us now. Yeah.
Run, boy, run.
This world is not meant for you. Run, boy, run. They're trying to catch you. Run, boy, run. Running is a victory. Run, boy, run. Beauty lies behind the hills. One will be guiding you. Run, boy, run. They're trying to stop you. Run, boy, run. This race is a prophecy. Run, boy, run. Break out from society. Always another day, hey, and you don't have to hide away, yeah. You'll be a man, boy, but for now it's time to run, it's time to run.
Come on, let's go.
Well, let's go and let's get going with the second half of the opening round here for the FEI Jumping Nations Cup of Youth for the children, the fourth and final Nations Cup of these 2 amazing days here in Compiègne. Now we go back to where we started with the Swiss team who had that opening draw, and the Swiss team who started off with the best of opening rounds when Sasha Descaliens jumped the clear. Sadly, though, they then suffered an elimination with their second rider, so it means whatever the results of the next 2, they're going to count. And we move on to another debutante, Céline Rossière with Olympia van de Parenbourg is the partnership to get us back underway. This mare by Balabé de Rouet out of a Chin Chin mare, some wonderful international bloodlines, and a big moment on debut for these 2. With this 12-year-old mare then. Unfortunately, that's going to count towards the team score, as we know. Round they come towards these final few fences. It becomes a total of 8 with 1 fence still left to jump. 76 is the time allowed, and the last goes as well. 12 penalties added in. And it's a big swing for the Swiss. As you can see, they go from 0 to 12 in the space of a round, with Céline Rossière there, and dropping from equal first down into 8th place. So we can move on. Germany up next. German team, similar position for them. They've had an elimination, so they've had to count the 8 penalties from their first rider, and it means that the scores count from the next 2. Germany on a best outcome of 8. This is Stella Marlene Alborn riding Cordula Guerin. Both international and team debut therefore this week for these 2 with this mare, this 9-year-old by Conrado NRW. Out of a Kid under the Bell mare. Nice modern power pedigree. Coming in a little bit tight on that left-hand side, but somehow still wiggles over. Oh, first part of the double goes down, and time is ticking away on them as well, although I think they'll just get inside, and the last goes. That final line is becoming expensive for plenty, and it becomes a total of 8, and that pushes the German team also now out with their score moving up to 16 with the 2 counting 8s, and 1 rider still to go. So bad luck there to Stella. Got awfully close to delivering a clear, but those final 2 out of 3 going down. Well, we turn our attention to the Irish, and again, it is that situation recurring that they've already sadly lost a rider to an elimination, so they have counted the 8 from Nina Smith, their first to go, and now know that the scores are going to count for the remaining 2, both of which, I mean, all of the Irish team today were making their team debut. And hopefully we'll see them in a moment. There's just no sign of them yet. Blythe Murphy. A little bit of running around going on out there in the arena. That tree, it does keep falling down on the Grand Prix fence. Fortunately, it's not in the course at the minute. Well, here is Blythe Murphy then. It is rider number 3 for the Irish team. A team debut for Blythe with this mare. The partnership together making their international debut just 2 weeks previous in Belgium, although this is a horse that jumped at the Europeans last year with Honor Mills Everett by Connor, this mare, and that counts as 4. Bred at the quality stud. A very smart looking ride. Keep it to the 8, but we know how difficult this final part of the track can be. Gets over A, gets over B, comes down towards the last. But that goes down as well, so 12 it is. Nothing to add from the clock as they're just a half a second inside. And it moves Ireland out onto a total of 20 in terms of their team score. Well, we move back to another of the teams battling at the top of the table, Belgium. They've had a clear round to enjoy from their second combination. Their first rider went round for a score of 4, so keeping that as the discard as it stands. Nathan Van Dijk next up with Nashville Van Mullenhof. Partnership jumped a triple clear 2 weeks ago when they went all the way through to that jump off to finish second. They also rode on that European team together last year for Belgium. Belgium gelding by Elvis Tuput. Nicely done. Got a good stride in, jumped out well, time is fine, just one left to jump and clear all the way. There you have it, great news for Belgium. They are very much in a great place here with that round. It's a clear round, it's their second clear round, and Nathan van Dijk following up the clear from 2 weeks previous, and that will help them. Now they know the worst outcome for Belgium in the opening round would be a score of 4. Next to go is the French team, the home nation, who started off with a clear and a 2, so the 2 being the discard, putting them in a pretty decent place as it stands, although they'll want to know that they can perhaps get a clear round here to still aim for a 0 score. Lou Pontin now with Impressiaro van de Heffink, another making a team debut today. Jumped into the top 5 though, these two, in the Grand Prix 2 weeks previous in Centaur. Well, that's what you call the perfect debut. Great news, clear all the way, and France staying very much at the top of the board. They know now that their worst outcome in the opening round is a 2 penalty score, and they still have the chance of going through with 0. Great start to France with their opening 3 riders all performing brilliantly, and it's been the case that really as well for Great Britain with a 1 and a 2, but they've had to count the 1, so that's why they're a little bit out of sync with those 2 leading nations, but clearly sitting third as it stands. Now it's the second of the Breens. This time we see Douglas Breen. Dougie here, of course, following his cousin Mia, who was in as the second to go. And of course his sister last year winning the individual silver medal at the European Pony Championships. But this his debut as part of the British lineup, riding Avalon du Capon. 2 of them have spent a bit of time recently down in Italy where they've impressed. He is the son of Shane and Chloe. Oh no! Well, so close to delivering the clear on debut, but he ends up just touching that back rail. It moves the British team onto a total of 3, so well within a fence of the lead, and we'll see what happens. But oh, so close. Either way, they have another rider still to come, and at the moment that holds as a discard. It means that the British team can at best finish on a score of 3. At worst, their score would be 7. Now, though, we move our attention on to Spain, and this is Alora, who is making her debut for Spain with Belia de Villion, the mare by Ramses de Villion. certainly got off to a good start. But we've seen, as we've just witnessed with the previous rider, with Douglas, that until they're over the final fence and down and safe and through on the time, we don't know what could happen at any point. But you've got to say it's going well at the moment, despite not necessarily looking to be the easiest of rides, and just got pulled all the way into the plank. And then we see this happen again. I wonder if it's a little bit, I mean, it is quite a turn they've got to make there, plus you're coming a little bit in a shade and light. Sadly, it's going to be, I would think, Spain that we will maybe lose. Well, we will definitely lose them now because that's their second elimination. And that brings an early end to the Spanish team's day. Still two more nations to go in this third rotation of riders. Next up, it's the Netherlands, sitting on a best outcome of 9, but having also incurred an elimination with their second rider to add the pressure to the final two, the first of which is Mille Martens. Was on the Nations Cup team that won 2 weeks ago, but that was with Luigi. Miller today riding Dublin Van Overis, a new ride last year, as in fact new ride this year, sorry, because they jumped that double clear in the Grand Prix in Centaur. Stallion by Darko. Well, the 4 penalties has pushed the Dutch score up to 13, but 4 more jumping efforts left. That's 4 more, but does get over the final fence and in on the time. So it is the 8 penalty score there for Mille Martens with that ride, Babili de Villion. Sorry, Dublin Van Overis, if I read the correct line on my piece of paper. So the Dutch now on a total of 17. Drops them behind Switzerland and Germany. Monaco keeping themselves in there at the moment, the Monegasque team. Both riders have gone round so far for a score of 4. So obviously the team is on a 4 at the moment. But that keeps them within a fence of the lead. And just 1 penalty behind the Brits. Now their third rider, though, is Allegra Banks-Clark riding Borussia. Another that's having her first opportunity as part of the Monegasque team this week. Monaco will have been hoping that these two could really contribute today to the score. It's another then to pick pick up a score of 4. In fact, she's made it 8 and time. So their debut, though, there's still a lot they can take that was positive from that round, even though it becomes the discard score for the moment on a total of 9. So Monaco just opening up the gap to the, or dropping back a bit maybe is a better way. That gap has opened up now, so they're on a total of 8. Keeps them still ahead of the Swiss, though, and keeps them in 4th place. 1 rider left to go in each of the teams. As it stands, the only 2 teams that could get finish on 0 are Belgium and France. To do that, they need clears. But now we move on, and it is the Swiss, who are currently on a best potential outcome of 12. But due to an elimination, any score here has to count. And this partnership, who jumped actually in Zurich on the Nations Cup and finished 2nd there last year, they also jumped at the final in Eselhof. This is Johanna Bittnell riding Revenge by Le Bleu du Monde van Rusthof. Nine-year-old's a very modern Belgium type. Well, such a key line about to come up now as the last to go, and that adds 4 more to the score. Switzerland going on to 16. And finishing with that extra 4. So it is indeed 16 as a total score for the Swiss team in the first round. Meanwhile, Germany, if they get a clear round here, would also finish on a score of 16, but also have the difficult problem of having lost one of their 4 riders, or one of the first 3. So this is Frieda Louise Riediel, who is the final part of Team Germany. Had a couple of outings on Nations Cups last year, including that team that won at Centaur back at the start of 2025, was also on the team that stood on the podium in Zurich. This is Ego DKZ by Echo van Russaker. Perfect way to finish things off, isn't it, for Germany? What a way to wrap that up. Well done, Frieda and Ego DKZ. So Germany do indeed hold on to that total of 16 penalties and keep themselves level with Switzerland. So very, very good news for them. Obviously, though, potentially we're going to have clears on teams on 0, so we could yet see quite a big gap. Now it's Ireland. They're hoping to try and finish on a total of 20, but another debutant here with Zahara Kirby Kasola, with the 8-year-old Seraphine Van Het Wisthoff. Went to Italy recently to have their first show together internationally with this mare by Lavano. Tuklomp. That's a horse that was produced by Jordi van Massenhoven and Vicky Gullikson. Now into the Irish lineup. Forward count. Kept it to the 4. Very well done indeed. Serafine Van Het, Vidsdale, and the final rider in the team there, Zara Karabi Kasola. So, Ireland on 24, and that was the best round of the Irish contingent in round number 1. We know with Spain being eliminated that Ireland should still then qualify, obviously, on that total. Next to go, it is a massive moment for Belgium as Kate Stapliat is the next to go. Belgium, one of the 2 teams left in the draw that could yet finish on 0. They have a 4 penalty discard. That is the worst outcome for them. But a clear round here guarantees them a 0 score. And let's see what happens on her debut with this 8-year-old called the Yoxo Zim Quest or Zimmy Quest. Stallion by Classic Margot. If Belgium were to have a fence down, it would ensure that France are guaranteed to go through to round 2 with the lead. France, who are also the other team that could finish on a 0 score, but have a worst outcome available to them of 2, whereas Belgium, it would be 4. No, it's gone at the very end. It's a final fence that really does ensure that the drama isn't over until it is over when you cross that finishing line. Belgium drop back onto a total of 4. They now know that they will have allowed France to lead the way going into round number 2, whatever happens here. So, Belgium on 4. I mean, it's still not a bad score, is it, compared to some of the bigger scores we've seen. But France, who go next with this partnership of Maya Wilson-Millet, who jumped a double clear despite the team only finishing in 8th place, certainly one of the highlights of the French team's children's performance 2 weeks ago, with Holiday BC, the mare by Felice Demus. France know they've got 2 clears and a discard of 2, so if a fence does fall, it would mean France finish on a score of 2. Otherwise, if Maya Wilson here, Mile, can go clear, France could finish on a 0 score. Oh, and again, it's the double at the end that just adds to the score. But as I said at the beginning of the round, it can't affect the worst outcome. It just means that France go forward on a total of 2, and it means whatever now they are the leaders at the end of round 1. So 8 penalties there for Maya Wilson-Millet and Holiday BC. But France on 2 as a team. Well, Great Britain, bizarrely, could finish on a total of 3, but the worst outcome for them would be 7, because they'd add the 4 to the 3 they've got. So they're either going to finish this round in 2nd or 3rd, depending what happens here. It is Alex Leggett that's the last to go on debut here for Great Britain. After that experience of Tabby Morgan-Evans, it's Claire Whitaker really using the new up-and-coming talent in her team here. This, though, a mare with plenty of experience, blossoms at Billy Hines, actually Former rider Maisie Williams was part of the team in Hagen last year in the Young Riders. Of course, bred at the Billy Stud by Donald Barnwell. Now part of the Blossom Stud, the Billy Mexico mare here. Big important moments as the last of the Brits. Just getting a little bit quick. That has gone, and we know then Britain will finish on 7 in round 1. Still, for a debut, it's a solid performance, an impressive performance, and that's a overall score of 7 for Great Britain to finish in 3rd place in the opening round. They keep a 1 penalty advantage for the moment, at least, over Monaco. It might stretch out to be a bit more than that, depending how Monaco go when their final rider comes in. But it also means they are 3 penalties behind Belgium and 5 penalties behind France. This is the turn next of Spain's Javier Catalan-Conde. As much as we know, obviously, the problems that Spain have had have seen them eliminated as a team, doesn't mean that Javier shouldn't get the opportunity to jump with this new ride for 2026, Coco Star Desguy. Of course, Javier was on the team at the Europeans last summer. Sire by name Lazar is a proving jumping sire, and this is proving to be quite a round of jumping. Despite Spain not able to feature as part of the teens competition going forward, at least they know they've got a clear round with Javier Catalan-Conde going clear as their last rider. So well done. What a positive end to the day for Spain. They'll be the team that don't go through. We just take 18 through to the second round. Next up, it is the Dutch, who, as we know, are on a best outcome of 17, sitting in 7th place. And now it is the turn of Mieke Beckers on debut here for the Netherlands, with the 15-year-old Zambezi mare called Gatarika. The Netherlands, who also had that elimination from their second rider. Coming around the back of the trees, knowing that 8 penalties that they've incurred so far pushes the Dutch team's score up. Currently on, I think, 25 as a team score. Well, in the end, it actually became a total of 12 penalties for them to add on, so that becomes a grand total of 29 for the Netherlands. So Ireland do move back ahead of them on that score of 24. There's one more rider left to go, and it'll be for the team from Monaco. Just about keeping themselves in the game at the very top. Monaco on a total of 8. Have a discard of 9. And this is the last combination to go in the first round across all the teams. Adriana Lado and Londra Del Oxa. Team rider from last summer, this mare by Toulon, is the last to go in the first round of the Children's Nations Cup. So far, so good. What a shame. I was hoping for a bit more, but it hasn't quite come off for the Monaco team there, as they end up on a total of 17 with that elimination for Adriana Lado as the last to go in this team and in this round. Of course, though, we get to do it all again with a whole second round of jumping with the 18s coming back, and it is finally poised at the very top of the order because, as we know, France lead on a total of 2 ahead of Belgium, who are just 2 penalties behind them on a score of 4. Just, 3 back from Belgium is the British lineup on a score of 7, and then the gap does open. It's 16 back to Switzerland and Germany. Monaco now on 17, Ireland on 24, and the Dutch on 29. We've lost Spain, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the next round of jumping will come up after the in-between class, I think is what we call it, isn't it? And that's going to start in about 10 minutes' time. And then we'll move on from there. There's only about 20 in it, so that'll take about 40 minutes, plus the 10, plus another 10, probably 40, 50, maybe an hour. I think we'll be back underway, or thereabouts, just maybe shy of the hour. Haven't actually seen an exact time come through yet, but as I say, I think about an hour's time we'll go again. Looking forward to it. It's going to go all the way to the wire. If we're lucky, we might even get a jump off and have a third round. Back in a bit.
desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Na 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 My lover's got no money, he's got his strong beliefs. My lover's got no power, he's got his strong beliefs. My lover's got no fame, he's got his strong beliefs. My lover's got no money, he's got his strong beliefs. Want more and more, people just want more and more freedom and love. What he's looking for, more and more, people just want more and more freedom and love. What he's looking for, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Mind and senses purified, freed from desire. Na 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 Come on, let's go. Hey, let's go. Come on, let's go. Hey, let's go. We got the heat now.
Time to get going once more. Welcome along. It is the second and concluding round, unless we have a jump off, of the Nations Cup here for the FEI Jumping Youth Series. It is the Children's Nations Cup, the fourth of our Nations Cups here in France, in Compiègne, and what a couple of days it has been. Germany took the top spot in the juniors. Ireland, well, they took the top spot in the young riders. That was yesterday. France, home winners a little earlier on today in the ponies, and it is France that lead coming back into the second round here in the children's section. France on top as it stands, but it is all so close at the top. They lead on an overall score of 2. Belgium just 2 penalties behind them on a score of 4, and then it is just 3 penalties back from Belgium to Great Britain, who sit in third on a total of 7. Switzerland, well, they are 4th. A little bit further back, there is a gap then. It is 16 apiece for them and Germany. Monaco on 17, Ireland on 24, and the Dutch on 29. And it is the Dutch then that start us off. Obviously, we lose Spain from the opening round, but this is Wim Vos, who is, of course, the first up for the Netherlands. 9 was his score in the opening round. It certainly proved to be a tricky enough track. Saw the clears begin to come later on, but plenty found their way to picking faults up. These two who were on the winning team, of course, the Netherlands having a bit of a reversal of fortune from 2 weeks ago in Belgium when they won. Let's see what happens. Time allowed, to remind you, is 76 seconds. He's had a busy day, part of the pony team a little bit earlier on, and unfortunately finds his way to the plank. Final line, final fence, over and through in 67.90, starting off then with an improved round. Let's say that it is a positive performance, but still a score of 4 with Petit Piquet de Luxe for Wim Vos there for the Dutch. On we go, Ireland up next, and this team of sort of newbies, debutantes. 8 penalties was the score on debut for Nina Smith here with Count Me In the opening round. This Hanoverian gelding by Count Granis out of a Sherlock Holmes mare. Certainly one of the more experienced horses, one of the older horses in this class at, I think, 19, if I've got that right. Ireland. Ooh. Struggling coming around the corner. Are they going to? No. I said in the opening round, it's interesting the way that that little sort of more solid filler ball has been put at the bottom of the in part of the combination. And it has just caught out a few of them. Doesn't matter whether they're younger horses or older horses. They just come round, and that was not the plan. Sadly, it is a fall. I hope that all is okay. Obviously disappointing. It's not been an easy day for the Irish team in the children's competition, but there is always positives to take from everything. And of course, you've got to get these young jockeys in and give them experience and let them learn as they go. And throughout the start list, whether it be Ireland or many of the other nations, there's a lot of debutants here today. Well, fingers crossed everybody is okay. And in fact, they are okay. So that's the most important part, as I've always said. But bad luck there to Nina Smith. As one walks away, the next counters in. And it's a partnership for Monaco. They are just one penalty behind Germany and Switzerland. So Monaco sitting in 6th place overall. And they'll be hoping for a solid start with their experience of Sophia Aurelia-Georges. Sophia, who's ridden out the last 2 Children's European Championships for Monaco, but brings a brand new ride to the team here this week. This 8-year-old mare is called Secret Love Bershagen by Lecter van der Bishop. Jump for 4 in round 1. Doing a fabulous job so far with this young ride. Certainly making the most of the talent. Sophia feeling confident, but we know again it's this final line that really is the trickiest part overall of this course. Time is good. Brilliant round from the 8-year-old and the experience of Sophia Aurelia-Georges. Monaco starting positively and giving us a clear round early on. Jumps for 4 and clear over the 2 rounds with Secret Love Bershagen. Well, the next to go gave us the opening clear, almost sort of gave us a sort of rather different impression of how this course might sort of be, because they were the very first to go in the first round. The pathfinder for the whole competition was Sacha de Schiliens for the Swiss. Ultimately, the team finished on that score of 16 alongside Germany, 1 ahead of Monaco, and therefore an early opportunity perhaps for a double clear round, as hard as those are to achieve. What can he do? As Ditona, Sacha, who was part of the bronze medal winning team at the Children's Europeans for Switzerland last year. Really well ridden so far, this wonderful pedigree of the mare by Canan